Yep. Sure. Council members Anderson.
Here.
Benega.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Costello.
Here.
Jameson.
Here.
Knudsen. Present. Litz.
Here.
Staggers.
Present.
Excuse me, tonight we'll be led to invocation by Dr. Ron Tottingham from Empire Baptist Temple in Sioux Falls. After the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this time, I'd ask everyone to please rise.
Our Heavenly Father, tonight, thank you for the opportunity to be able to be here. Thank you for our city elected officials who are willing to take the time and effort to be here to help run the greatest city in the world. Pray that you'd bless tonight and everything that's said and done, that you'd guide their lives, their families' lives, and Father, give them a peaceful time in their hearts. And I pray that our God would be the one who'd run things, and this city would be run in the direction that you'd have it to run. We thank you for the honor and privilege to be able to live in a city like this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a proclamation for National Mentoring Month. Is Lisa Phelan Schultz and Beth Torkelson here? Okay, want to come up? The proclamation reads, whereas January 2009 is the 8th annual Mentoring Month as declared by the National Mentoring Partnership. This year's theme is Expand Your Universe, Mentor a Child. Whereas sustained relationships with positive adult role models are essential in the successful development of all children and adolescents. Whereas mentoring relationships between adults and children are known to improve academic performance, increase self-esteem, and build confidence in young people. Whereas nearly 17 million young people nationally and over 1,200 young people locally are in need of caring adult mentors. Whereas the goal of National Mentoring Month is to raise awareness of mentoring in its various forms, recruit individuals to mentor, and promote the rapid growth of mentoring by recruiting organizations to engage their constituents in mentoring. Now, therefore, I, Dave Munson, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim January 2009 as National Mentoring Month in Sioux Falls. And thank you for what you do. Thank you. Okay, we'll get started here. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move. Knudsen.
Knudsen moves. Is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconds. Further motions?
I have one question, if I
Sure.
could ask Director Cooper up here for a second. On item 3, where we're approving the abatements, about a third of the way down in there, it talks about, I think it's the third sentence, says no statutory authority exists to collect these taxes. Can you, any idea what causes that?
I can't answer that, but maybe the city attorney could.
I mean, the taxes were levied, and then it says there's no statutory authority that exists to collect these taxes, and so we're abating them. I'm just curious how that happens.
Well, I can't give you a direct answer, but usually it goes through the county, and I haven't received anything on it. I could certainly check it out, but I think it is properties that have been maybe tax deeds taken or something like that, and then you take it for tax, and then it goes so it isn't on the record or whatever. There could be other things to have to deal with, obviously uncollectible, because you can't schedule them out in bankruptcy or anything like that either. But I will certainly check it out.
It just struck me as curious, I'm sorry.
Well, you don't get much forgiveness in taxes. Right, I agree with you.
Further questions? If not, we got a motion made, second. Further motions? No further motions. All in favor approves the consent agenda will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted. The consent agenda has been approved 8-0. Is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So moved, Brown.
Brown moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Let's second it. Further motions on the regular agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the regular agenda will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Regular agenda has been approved 8-0. Now we're at the part where we have public input. Anyone wishing to address the council for a period of 5 minutes may do so. We just ask for your name and your address.
Good evening. I'm Teresa Staley, and I live at 1621 South Van Ness Avenue. I wasn't able to listen to the 4 o'clock meeting, but my understanding is there have been some new developments concerning the petition drive that we started. I had something else prepared, but I still want to have a few comments.
Excuse me,
yes.
Do you want to wait until we get to
No, I'd rather do it now, because this really wasn't...
Okay, then you're going to do it right now then
Yes,
instead? Okay,
yes,
okay.
I would like to do it. First of all, I want to say that I really appreciate this forum and this ability to speak for 5 minutes for the public. I think this is a fantastic gesture of openness in government and encouragement for the citizens to become more involved in city affairs. And we must always be mindful that we are in this whole operation together, even though we don't always agree about things, and that you are working for the citizens. We are the customers here. For the past year, the city has been telling the public that the sales tax needed to be raised to help developers build new arterial streets. The information about the new arterial streets was in the paper many, many times. It was on TV, it was on the city channel, and it was on the city's website. On the night of the vote, several months ago, 4 of you voted to raise the sales tax for those newer arterial streets. And 4 of you voted not to do that. And you argued that we should work within the budget more efficiently and effectively and find the money that we need in the existing funds. That touched my heart. And especially during this time in our economy, I know it touched a lot of people's hearts. And then Mayor Munson, you broke the tie, as we all know. And after the vote, a group of us who are passionate about making things happen and putting our words into action, we started this petition drive. We put in many hours already, and we've talked to many people. And the thousands of people who have signed our petition already feel the same way we do. They're enthusiastic about having an opportunity to have their voice heard in a taxation manner. They also feel strongly that the city needs to become more accountable in what they're spending our taxpayer dollars on. The issue that I wanted to talk about tonight, and this is why I wanted to address it now, Mayor Munson, has to do with an interview that Jeff Schmidt did on Kello it was on New Year's Eve. And during this interview, there was no mention of new arterial streets. I called Kello, and Jeff at the end of the clip, they said that Jeff said this tax increase was going to be for streets, street maintenance, and infrastructure. And I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute here. What happened to the new arterial streets? Are we changing horses? Scott Erisman also, Scott, would you come up here, please? Scott saw a video of Jeff talking about this. And I guess what I wanted here is to tell them what was on the video.
Scott L. Arisman, 806 South 10th Avenue. I'll read the entire interview. I will give Jeffrey Schmidt the benefit of the doubt here. I don't know what question Kello asked him, because the video was just of Jeff answering a question. So I'm not sure what question Kello asked him. But this is how it did. I watched the video and I took down the text. It says, Sioux Falls sales tax boost starts Thursday. The city of Sioux Falls will see a boost in sales tax with the approach of the new year. If you shop in Sioux Falls, you will be paying an extra 8 cents for every $100 you spend starting Thursday. Now, this is where Jeff says something, and I don't know what question he was asked, but this is what Jeff says. And this is verbatim from him. That's the way we are able to update infrastructure, water, sewer, roads, public facilities, buildings, schools, fire stations. That all comes through sales tax. Jeffrey Schmidt of Planning and Building Services. Now, like I said, I don't know what question he was asked, but obviously this extra tax revenue is for arterial streets only. It's not for any of these things.
New
arterial streets. Schools are funded through property taxes. They're not funded through retail taxes. I guess the issue Teresa and I have with this is somebody representing the city should always be giving factual information to citizens, especially if they're being interviewed by the largest TV station in Sioux Falls. Obviously, I follow this a lot more than most citizens do, so I caught it right away. But I would hope in the future that we aren't misleading citizens about what we're raising taxes for, and we're, if we are, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and I guess what we want here is a reaffirmation of what we're going to be spending that money on. Have you changed your minds now, or are we still? I mean, of course, we were hoping to have an impact on that with this petition drive, but however that moves forward. But I want it on the record what this money is going to be spent for.
And what Scott heard, because I didn't hear it, but when he talked about second penny, he would be lumping all those into the second penny, because you have it. And I don't know, Scott, if I heard you when you did, but he talked about school tax. That's completely out of our jurisdiction.
Right. He said schools. He added schools into the.
That's out of our jurisdiction. But
right.
No, be assured that the 8 100s is going to arterial streets along with the development money, so that doesn't change at all. I mean that's the deal that we have. So I can't speak for Jeff, but I assume he's talking about what we do with that second penny. The second penny, as everybody knows, is a CIP money that we have that goes to build those projects, and then the operating budget's the other
But we need to keep those words, new arterial streets involved.
Right, and I agree with that. So I'm with you on that one. You bet.
If I might, I've had a chance to be interviewed a couple times, and most of us have up here, obviously. You do a 10-minute interview, and you don't get to pick the 10 seconds that they put on the air. So it's kind of difficult sometimes.
I understand that. Me too.
But I appreciate you coming to get it clarified, because we don't want miscommunication on this issue, so that's fine.
I have something else I want to talk about. It has nothing to do with this. I wanted to commend Kermit Staggerstay at the informational meeting for reminding a citizen of their First Amendment rights. Something that's very, very important to me. Peaceable assembly is upheld by the U.S. Constitution. Kermit said it himself. No state law, no municipal law overrides that. I encourage everybody to protest peacefully if they feel strongly about something. There are many great organizations out there that will protect you if you don't have the legal fees to do it. The National Coalition Against Censorship and the ACLU are great organizations. So I want to thank you, Kermit, for bringing up the First Amendment to a citizen. I hope tonight he went home and looked up the U.S. Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Others that wish to address council, name and address, please.
My name is Kathy Kersey, 5408 West 52nd Street in Sioux Falls. I've been working on the petition also. I'm almost 70 years old, and I've tried to spend my lifetime on my passion for those most vulnerable in our society, whether it's in Sioux Falls or our state or our nation or our world. And that is focused a great deal on hunger issues. But it also, of course, includes poverty, children, families. I don't know if I'll be speaking again before this city council. Today, my husband was told he has 2 years or less to live. And as I said, I'm almost 70. I just want to encourage you, please, to remember that as you serve those most vulnerable and those most in need in our community, that our city will prosper. It will grow, and it will be blessed. Please don't forget why you're here. There are many of us who can take care of ourselves, speak for ourselves, get up here and holler and have peaceable assembly and whatever. But there are a lot of people who cannot. And I've seen a lot of them in our own community in the years I've lived in Sioux Falls. And I have loved living in Sioux Falls. It has always been a caring, great community. And you can be very proud of having been elected to be on this city council. Don't forget, please, what your real core job is. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Others that wish to address the council for a period of 5 minutes, name and address, please.
Lyle Whiteman, North Dakota Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. What I keep being asked a question is about the money that was gotten from Citibank with people, members of the city council being involved with it and previously having been involved with Citibank. How do we come about getting a justification of accepting money from Citibank, and how do we find out how the money is being spent and who is benefiting from it?
Mike, you've been involved in that one. You bet. Thank you.
Mike Cooper, Planning and Zoning. Citibank is one of many partners that we've had in dealing with the Pettigrew Heights neighborhood area. We have had committees involving property owners, neighbors, nonprofits, as well as financial representatives. And as we've identified within that neighborhood of some of the needs that people would like to see happen, we have looked at opportunities for public and private partnerships. And Citibank is one of those partnerships that has been developed through that process. They have allowed us to apply for a line of credit. They have given us grant money, and they're continuing to work with us on different initiatives within that neighborhood. So the use of that money is very transparent. It's going to be used specifically for neighborhood improvements, neighborhood services within Pettigrew Heights. And if anybody's interested in finding out how that money does get utilized, all that will come through for City Council action or information at some point in the future. So I think if anybody has any specific questions, they can contact me or our office at the Planning Department, and we can show them exactly what is being proposed with those different types of funds.
And we can show them where the funds are,
Yep.
so they can contact you or
Right.
finance, whoever they want to contact, so that would be the...
But I would say that in all cases, Citibank came to us offering to provide help because they do feel very strongly about the community, which we're fortunate that they do.
Okay.
I have a question.
Others that wish to address the council for a period of 5 minutes?
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if I could ask a question of
Sure.
Mike. Mike, we've gotten a number of emails saying that in the future we're going to be having a briefing on the Pettigrew Heights situation. Do we know for sure yet when we're going to have that briefing?
We would like to get that proposal wrapped up in January that we can bring it back to you.
Okay. And we're still working with the St. Joseph housing people?
Yeah, we're still working with the proposal for the redevelopment site, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Others that wish to address the council for 5-minute public input time? Let's see. No one coming forward, so Let's move into the regular agenda. Item number 17.
Deferred action, second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinance of the city by revising the order of business for council meetings.
Who's got that one?
Okay. I'll just go ahead and just give the council an update on this. This has actually been deferred twice, and there's some notes in your red notes under item number 17 that concerns a recent compromise. It would be version D that is out there with the language from the city attorney. It simply moves to clarify item 13, which would incorporate the notice of transfers of appropriations under the regular agenda item number 13. It adds language which is from the Charter 5.07 section or subsection D, and in addition, it would draw and clarify under the consent agenda for 5C the consent's internal department directives. There were a number of fiscal committee meetings on this, and I will let Gerald or Pat take it from here.
I could just make a couple of comments. Before, we just received those reports without any acknowledgement that shows that we did, in fact, have those reports and that we've seen those reports. This second reading in this ordinance is just to document the fact that we have, in fact, received and have voted on the contents of those, if you will. And if anybody had questions, they would be able to review those.
Further questions? Others that wish to address the council, item number 17. Council discussion or action?
Move for approval, Benninga.
Second?
Second, Costello.
Costello, seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Oh, we need a substitute motion for the language in D, don't we?
I'm going to need some help with that because it's not in my notes, unfortunately.
Pardon me if I could. Amendment D, or version D, is on the internet for those who are looking at home. But it adds, in addition to the original ordinance with those changes, it will add the word internal for council's internal departmental directives. And then under the regular agenda item 13, under report of officers, boards, committees, commissions, and it adds, quote, and transfers of unencumbered appropriation balances among programs within a department or organizational unit as provided in the Sioux Falls Charter, Section 5.07D.
So move, Costello.
So that's okay. Costello made the motion to, substitute motion to amend. Further, is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconded the motion. Okay. We got substitute motion to amend. Everybody understand the amendment? Okay. All in favor of the proposed amendment will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Knudsen?
No.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
That motion's been approved, 7 yes, 1 no, so we're back to the main motion as amended. Further comments?
Pardon me, I think point of order. I think that was a substitute motion, Mayor.
You can go back to the main motion because you got it, but if you want to make a main motion as amended, I mean, that's fine with me, but you don't have to. When I was in the legislature, I never did that. But go ahead, make the motion. You want to make the motion to amend it? You're just back to the main motion. Go ahead.
I didn't hear your conversation, frankly, before. So
Well, you just want to make a motion. I don't, because we usually just go back to the main motion as amended. But if you want to, let's make the motion as amended. Is that your motion?
that would be fine.
And you're seconding that motion? Sure. Okay. All in favor of the motion to approve as amended will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Council members Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Knudsen?
No.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item number 17 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 no, as amended. Item 18.
Second reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at southwest corner of East Madison Street and Powder House Road from the R2 Residential District, RD Residential District, RA1 Residential District, C4 Planned Commercial District, and O General Office to the R2 Residential District, RD Residential District, RA1 1 Residential District, C4 Planned Commercial District, and O General Office District. Petition number 2008-1103, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Again, I'm Mike Cooper, and I'm presenting tonight the recommendations by the City Planning Commission from their last monthly meeting. This item is approximately 38 acres of land, and as we see in the agenda, it's in the southwest corner of Madison and Powderhouse Road. Ron and Jean Tisdall are the property owners. We had previously approved a zoning plan for this property. The owners have been working with the city and their consultant on some modifications to the street layout in this area, and so now they're requesting to come back and modify the boundaries of their zoning to accommodate the changes to the subdivision plan. This modifies the boundaries of the commercial and multifamily zoning districts. And recommendation for approval.
Questions of Mike on item number 18? Others that wish to address the council on item number 18? Is there a motion to approve?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moves, second.
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconds. Other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
And Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 18 has been approved 8-0. Item 19.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at West 5th Street and North Cornflower Avenue, petition number 2008-1104, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property consists of approximately 1.5 acres of land that's currently platted into residential lots. The petitioner originally received zoning approval for a single-family development in this area, and the property is adjacent to an existing manufactured housing development to the east. The petitioner has come in and asked for the option to put in either single-family or twin homes on the 6 lots that would be included within the rezoning tonight.
Questions of Mike on item 19? Others that wish to address the council on item number 19? Not, is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Okay, Jameson moves, is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further comments on that motion? I've seen none, so all in favor vote yes, those opposed no.
Council members Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 19 has been approved 8-0. Item 20.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at northeast corner of East Madison Street and Powderhouse Road, petition number 2008-1105, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 64.5 acres of land. The applicant is Brian Bauer, and this property is in the northeast corner of Madison and Powderhouse Road. The City Council has previously approved annexation as well as a land use amendment for this property. We have also approved zoning for property to the west of here, which is part of the Canterbury Heights development. This would be an extension of that to the east of the new Powderhouse, South Dakota Highway 100 alignment. There's a major drainage way that extends through this property, and the applicant is requesting zoning for future residential, office, and commercial development.
Questions of Mike on item number 20? Others that wish to address the council on item number 20? Is there a motion to approve?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moves, second.
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconds. Further comments on that motion? I see none, so all in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 20 has been approved 8-0. Item 21.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at East 57th Street and South Dubuque Avenue, Petition number 2008-10-18, and amending the official zoning map of the city of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a little over a 2-acre parcel owned by Gloria Day Lutheran Church that they had proposed to rezone for future commercial development. Late this afternoon, we did receive a message asking for a deferral of this item, and we took a little extra time to verify that with the petitioner and the representative, and we do have a request tonight to defer this rezoning to February 2nd, City Council meeting, February 2nd.
Is there a motion to defer to February 2nd?
Could we have a reason for the deferral or
The reason that we were given is that they're currently talking to a potential buyer of the land that may result in a different proposal than what we're looking at tonight.
I make a motion for a deferral to what date did you say?
To February 2nd.
February 2nd.
Is there a second?
Knutson.
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further comments on the deferral until February 2nd for item number 21? Okay, all in favor of deferring item 21 to February 2nd, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
All members present have voted. Item 21 has been deferred until February 2nd, 8-0. Item 22.
Second
Go ahead.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at East 57th Street between Highway 11 and 6 Mile Road. Petition number 2008-1109, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
It be noted that Councilmember Jameson has been excused from item 22, so go ahead, Mike.
This is about a 78-acre parcel of land. The owner is Robert Tenkate. This is proposed to be an additional development as part of the Falcon Heights area. Mr. Tenkate has also been working with Clayton Jameson and Site 2 Incorporated on future development plans. The City Council has previously approved annexation as well as a land use amendment for this property that will involve future mix of residential, commercial, and office development. This proposed rezoning tonight is consistent with the land use amendment that the City Council has approved.
Questions of Mike on item number 22? Others that wish to address the council on item number 22? Is there a motion to approve?
So move, Anderson.
Anderson moves. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Knutson.
Knutson seconds. Further comments on the motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 22 has been approved 8-0. Item 23.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at southeast corner of East 69th Street and South Southeastern Avenue. Petition number 2008-1107, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a 38.5-acre site. The petitioner is Don Dunham, who is the current owner of the property. This is an area that the City Council has also previously approved a zoning plan. Since the new owner has taken over the property, he has been working with the city on a revised layout of the streets based on a new development idea for the area. The City Council, again, has approved a land use amendment that provides for the changes of the street configuration. Basically, we're modifying the boundaries of future multifamily and office uses within this area, and this is consistent with that land use amendment.
Questions of Mike on item number 23? Others that wish to address the council on item number 23? Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
I second that. Knutson.
Knutson seconds. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 23 will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 23 has been approved 8-0. Item 24.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a major amendment, petition number 2008-11-11 to Chapter 15.45.070, Planned Development Districts at Brooks Crossing Plan Development District Sub-Areas A and B to revise sub-area boundaries and allowing changes in land use as reflected in the revised sub-area regulations, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is about a 53.5-acre parcel of land. The area is being developed as part of Brooks Crossing. Darrell Vierick is the one that we have been working with on this development. Since the original zoning into a planned development was approved, Mr. Vierick has now again been working with a development concept and is now asking to modify the boundaries of the multifamily and office zoning that was previously approved by the City Council. This is consistent with what the neighbors and other surrounding properties have intended this to be, and so the Planning Commission has recommended approval of this amendment.
Questions of Mike on item number 24?
No.
Ken?
Mike?
Yes.
Did we get any neighbor concerns about the changes in this?
No, in fact, the developer to the north has been working with Mr. Vierick, and to the south and west is still vacant, so, but he has been working with surrounding property owners.
Thanks.
Further questions? Others that wish to address the council on item number 24? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So move, Let's
move. Is there a second?
Second, Benninger.
Benninger seconds. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of approving item 24, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 24 has been approved 8-0. Item 25.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the city authorizing the issuance of its sales tax revenue bonds in one or more series, authorizing the use of the proceeds thereof to pay the cost of improvements to the existing diversion dam, construction of a new dam at the confluence of Skunk Creek and the Big Sioux River, rebuilding the 41st Street Bridge and raising the levees to provide adequate flood risk reduction along the Big Sioux River, Skunk Creek, and the diversion channel in the city, pledging a portion of the sales and use tax proceeds of the city to the payment of said sales tax revenue bonds, fixing the terms of such sales tax revenue bonds, authorizing the execution and delivery of one or more supplemental indentures between the city and the First National Bank in Sioux Falls, and authorizing the sale, execution, and delivery of such sales tax revenue bonds, $38 million.
Gene Rowan, Horse Director of Finance. This is the ordinance that we're doing our second reading on. I think the first time you saw this was about a month ago now, 4 weeks ago. We've discussed it at length. We've held meetings with most of the council members, I think all but one-on-one meetings about it, and we've discussed it. I don't know that I can add much more at this point. If there's any questions, we still have our team available to answer them, so if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Questions? Go ahead.
Yes, I've got a question for Betsy Abbey.
City Council.
Yes. At our 4 o'clock meeting, you mentioned that a citizen initiative would probably be invalid to try to reduce the sales tax. And I was just wondering, in state law, is there very many cases dealing with that? Very many case law cases?
There's no case law.
There's no case law about that at all. Okay, and then also I have another question, too. Instead of having a city initiative reduce the sales tax, what if the city council decided to reduce the sales tax? Could we do that?
Below the second penny below 0.92%?
Yes.
You could, after all the bonds that are issued under the master bond indenture have been paid off.
Okay, and then also likewise with a citizen initiative, once those have all been paid off, then there could be an initiative, theoretically.
Yes.
I guess I have a question because a few years ago, the city reduced the second penny from 1 to 0.92. At that time, I didn't hear anything about, well, this is going to interfere with contracts and things like that.
There was an amendment made to the indenture due to state law, and there was a provision that said that you were going to collect the same amount of tax because you were increasing the number of items that were subject to a second penny. And by expanding the items that were subject to second penny tax, the state figured out for each municipality what the second penny would be to be the equivalent of 1 penny prior to the expansion of the goods that were subject to second penny. And therefore, it was equal.
Okay.
It was an equal tax.
Yes.
That was a state law that expanded the number of goods and types of goods that could be subject to second penny.
And so once the state law was passed, and I voted for it, then we had to go and amend the contracts. Is that right? That we had? Because, yeah, or is that wrong? I don't know.
I don't know if it was an amendment. I didn't prepare that amendment, but it was the state law that expanded the sales tax, and therefore, by expanding the sales tax, there was an equivalent amount of tax being raised.
Yeah, it's just equivalent, but you're not sure whether we had to actually amend these contracts or we had for these bonds.
I've seen the 2006 bond documents, but I don't have them in front of me.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Further questions on item number 25? Others that wish to address the council on item number 25?
Mayor?
Oh, go ahead, Kenny.
Gene?
Gene?
Question. What's the impact if we don't vote this as far as the floodplain and the levees and the bridge? How far back can we go before we're looking at next year?
As I said, we have our team, so I think we ought to ask Mr. Cotter that as far as construction and that goes, because he understands the construction time and the meeting of the deadlines with the Corps of Engineers.
Okay.
Mark?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I think one of the key things that we want to stress is that the schedule that's been laid out from December through June is optimistic. It's going to take a lot of work to meet that schedule. And so conversely, any opportunity that we have along that schedule that we can accelerate, the better. And the reason I talk about that is normally in South Dakota, we operate in about an 8-month construction window. And especially with the earthwork nature of this, essentially from April to December 1st is the window of time. Right now, the optimistic schedule has us issuing a notice to proceed by June 1st timeframe. So we've already lost about 2 months of that construction window. And so now in 2009, which will be an enormous amount of work that needs to get done, we're down to a 6-month window. And so the impact is every week there's a whatever the prescribed volume of work that the awarded contractor can do, that's what we'll lose.
Go ahead, Gerald.
If I could continue just a little bit more on the answer. From a financial standpoint, what's in here as far as the financial schedule, that is tight. And anything that's done on that, the whole thing's going to move back. So, there's just not any wiggle room in that whatsoever to miss those deliverable dates there. So,
Gerald?
I'm sorry, Mark. I got a little slow on the trigger. Mark, when we met this afternoon and talked in a little more detail about this package, you reiterated the fact that the bridge wouldn't be part of the president's stimulus package, correct? Or someone else said that, I believe.
If I would expect that the potential stimulus bill is going to have a lot of items and agencies that receive funding. The funding that will come from the Corps of Engineers will be for the federal portion of this project. And so we would not expect the funding that gets directed through the administration to the Corps of Engineers to be on this list. Now, as we've distributed to you last week, that we have put together a draft stimulus project list of which this full amount is on there. And so obviously, you know, with Congress starting tomorrow, we're going to start to get some of those questions answered. Also, there's some other key projects in the city of Sioux Falls, some of our development-driven streets that are also on that list. And so there's a lot of unknowns, but I can tell you I would expect the dollars that come through the Corps of Engineers would not go to the bridge.
In your proposal, when we're looking at the $22 million for the flood control portion, how much of that has to be done in the proposal to the President on, you suggested the middle of February is when we would hear back probably on what kind of support we were going to get? How much of that proposal has to be done by the middle of February when we know what dollar amount we'd be looking at?
I'm not. Can you ask the question again? On
Sure. The proposal starts now, it goes through the middle of June, the way you're putting it together, with all the pieces.
Oh, yes.
Okay, by the middle of February, how much of that proposal has to be completed so that the President will look at that and decide if, in fact, that's going to be part of the approval process? Do we have to have all the pieces of the funding done, all the design work done? What's the standard, if you will, on what needs to be completed by the middle of February?
I think, first of all, they've been working with the Omaha District and the headquarters in D.C. with the Corps of Engineers to know what their capacity or capability is of shovel-ready projects. The criteria that is listed on the Big Sioux River, as we're told, hits every one of those criteria. It's either designed or can be designed in the prescribed window. Now, we've heard different time frames, whether it's 90 days or 180 days. But the reality is they want projects that are well under design and that they can actually get into this year. And so I think we can feel comfortable that the Corps is, the design's done. The estimates are very close. And so then the next thing will be is we're in somewhat of a waiting game to see how this stimulus bill gets structured and if this project will qualify. Did that answer your question?
It does. In fact, you led me to the next question, is on the middle of February, when we know if we're part of the approval process, how long before we actually get all the pieces, the financing pieces and all those together before you can dig ground, so to speak?
If it's dollars that comes through the stimulus bill, I would expect that it's on the same time frame as when the President signs a normal budget. And once the normal budget is signed in October for the federal fiscal year, the agencies that are connected to the administration get their funding within 2 months. And so that's what we're managing right now, but a reasonably short period of time.
Thank you.
Mark, on the scenario 2 on the funding, we show a couple $100,000 worth of interest being paid in 2009 and then in 2010, but the bulk of it, principal and interest, kicks in 2011 because we're capitalizing the interest during those early years, I presume, on a couple of the bonds at least. Is that in, like in 2011, for example, it appears to be about $3.3 million. Is that in our capital program?
No, what we've done is we've budgeted $2.5 million starting in 2010. And as you know, life of a project is 3 years. And so that authorization in 10 would roll forward, and then we would make that bond payment as it is. And so if you add the 2010 authorization and 2011, that will be $5 million. And so we'll be able to easily make that payment.
Okay, so then in 2012, when we have a similar $3.3 million payment, is that in our 2012 CIP program?
obviously one of the things that we do when we develop the CIP is that we're putting planning level estimates together. And so as we are right in the midst of putting together the next program, we'll start to plug those appropriate numbers in.
And maybe another way to ask this is that, does this throw our capital program out of balance? Maybe not in 2011. Does it throw it out in 12 and 13? It's pretty simple. I mean, if we've got $3.3 million budgeted into the capital program for the project, then it would seem it would balance. But if we don't, it would seem it would be out of balance.
Well, we're also going to have the opportunity to roll the dollars that we did not put to debt service in 10 forward,
right,
and then begin to balance.
Is that enough to cover 11, 12, and 13?
Again, we're talking about some variables here. Let's go back to where we're currently at with the project. Currently, the Omaha District Office has $750,000 worth of unencumbered funds. In the current budget that we are hopeful that the President signs right after he goes into office has a congressional add of $4 million in the energy and water bill. Assume that goes forward, and there is no stimulus proposal or package. We could, then the Omaha office will start with nearly $5 million, which in this time frame of structuring the final bonds will get reduced by at least those amounts. And so there's a number of variables at play, but in the out years of the CIP, there's certainly time to balance in those extreme out years.
Further, I'm not sure. I guess when we raised the second penny, when some people raised the second penny sales tax, we were told that there were no alternatives, that there was no other place to cut money, there was no other option. We had to raise the second penny sales tax to generate the $4 million. In here, it appears that we're spending $3 million, unless it was already previously in the CIP, which I don't think it was, or I'm still not quite clear on whether it was or not.
I think Mark is making a point of the variables. One of the things I do not want the council to lock into is this proposal that you have in front of you. It is just to give you an indication of what a structure may look like. This particular scenario that you're looking at has an assumed rate of 4% on the floating rate bonds. Those floating rate bonds today would come in at about 2%, more than making up the difference that you're talking about between the $2.5 million and $3.5 million. There's a whole bunch of variables that we're going to have to deal with when we finally lock this thing down, and that's just one of them. There's another one is as Mark is talking about, is timing of when the money will come in. We gave you our best forecast that we could of what the transaction might look like in terms of 3 different bond issues that will handle the entire transaction. And we've got all kinds of wiggle room in there, and please don't lock in on that. That's a scenario that's to show you what a structure might look like, but until we have the information down towards the end of February and that's going to change. That's going to move.
Well, I can appreciate that, and frankly, I mean, if there's no other alternative, then the way we structured it with 2 variable portions and a fixed rate portion, I think it probably is the way to go. And I think we've also, I know you've probably been conservative in your numbers, but we're far enough out on the deal. I can imagine the interest rates could go up between now and then. I think we're in such an unusual economic time that I don't know that anybody's really got a clear forecast of what's going to happen.
Well, you got something that was very unusual that happened a couple of weeks ago when the Federal Reserve announced their interest rate actions on the Fed fund rates. There's 2 very important things that happened that was, and I thought I sent out their full statement. If you didn't, it's on the internet and you can look at it. One is they said that they would set a range of interest rates from 0 to 25 basis points. The Federal Reserve has never, ever done that. They've always had a target. We will come in at some interest rate. They've set a range to give them a whole bunch of flexibility, and that is highly unusual for the Fed. Second thing that happened, they said that they made the statement that they saw no particular changes in interest rates in the foreseeable future. The Federal Reserve has never, ever gave any kind of indication what was going to happen to interest rates from one month to the next. They just would not do it. This time they have given an indication that they're not going to monkey around with interest rates for the foreseeable future. I would say that's at least a year, if not longer. So we've got some pretty good evidence that those interest rates, particularly on the short end where we're dealing with the floating rate bonds, are going to stay right there and not go anywhere for a while.
But Gene, these are 10 and 20-year bonds, and I mean, yeah, you're capitalizing the interest on for the first couple of years, but how do you know what the interest rate is going to be on those variable bonds in 2011?
You don't have, well, in 2011, we don't know. We have to make a forecast. In the case of building this scenario, we use 4%, which is about 1% above an average of a long time. And Jessica was talking about that earlier today. So we used really a worst case scenario where they might be, but we don't know where they're at. But the flip side of that is we have the ability to call those bonds every 7 days. Every 7 days we could redeem all of those bonds if we wanted to do another bond issue, refunding, whatever, and lock the interest rates in.
And that only works if it goes down. If your interest rates are going up, that's not such a...
Like I said, there are a whole bunch of variables in this transaction that we have to make some assumptions. It's not risk-free, but it's being done in as prudent a manner as we think we can develop at this point.
Well, to move on and just to answer this question then, assuming the numbers that you've given in your scenario 2, is the capital program on a budget, out of balance, or is it in balance through the 5 years that it is?
We know we have things that are going to change 2, 3, 4 years out. And it is in balance at this point. Obviously, it has to be. And we'll have to, if we have to make some changes because of variable rates and that, then we just have to deal with that when the time comes. Our alternative is to go a total fixed rate transaction, which would be a lot more expensive and not nearly as flexible.
If I could, another question. When I added up the payments and the principal and interest on the bonds, the principal comes to the $42,745,000, and the interest comes to $22,642 and some change. And when you put that together, it's $65 million roughly. And we know that we're going to get reimbursed from the Corps for $25 million, or roughly, not quite 25.
We hope we'll get reimbursed from the Corps.
Okay. That brings the difference down to $40 million, $41 million. And our portion of that is the bridge. And at the bond proceeds for the bridge are $10.5 million. So by the difference there being $30 million.
This scenario includes $12 million for the bridge.
Well, yeah, I understand that. But on your scenario, deposit to project fund is $10.5 million.
Okay.
So, I don't know what I can't explain the difference, but the way I'm calculating is that by doing this, the city is going to incur $30 million more in cost than if we wait and have the Corps build it out on their own. And is my logic correct in that?
Part of that is you have to net against that the $5.8 million that's going to go out per year on additional flood insurance that Mike referred to earlier today.
Was the city paying that?
No, somebody's paying it. Some citizens.
I'm talking about the city of Sioux Falls.
The city of Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls.
No, it's the citizens of Sioux Falls that are paying that $5.8 million.
For some 1,300 structures.
I don't remember what the structures were, but something like that.
And The point that I want to make is that my understanding is that we are going to incur $30 million in expense out of our capital program that a couple of months ago we had no money in there, that we had to raise the second penny sales tax.
Gene, Jessica's got something there, I think.
We can come back to that in a second.
Go ahead, Jessica. You want to talk to that? Go to the microphone, please.
The $30 million that you're talking about, or you are looking at the overall cost of the debt if the Corps doesn't repay you for anything. On page 1 of the scenarios, there's a total net debt service, which shows you what you would be paying if the Corps makes only $3 million annually until they have repaid their $24.6 million, I think it is, a little over $24 million, which would stretch out over 9 years. And so under scenario 2, once you net out the Corps payments, the capitalized interest, and your debt service reserve fund earnings and the corpus of that debt service reserve fund, you're actually looking at total debt service for the city of just over $24.7 million. And if you look at that city payment column on page 1 of 5, you can see that actually starting in 2011, so it would be fiscal year 2010 when you began to fund that, the city payment, provided that the Corps pays $3 million over that time frame, as I mentioned, the city payment would actually be less than $2 million under the current scenario.
Okay, so are you saying that it's not $30 million, it's 24.7?
I'm saying it's 24.7 all in, with the bridge, with the levies, all of that,
Okay.
yes.
I'm in a good mood tonight. I'm going to concede $5 million. It's going to cost the city $25 million more than if we were to just wait and have the Corps build out the project.
No, it would actually only cost you about $4 million more, because if there's $8 million of interest being paid on the $12 million on the bridge piece, the difference between what you would be paying, assuming that you issue the bonds now to pay for the levy, and what you would be paying if you just issued the bonds for the bridge portion is about $4.7 million.
So you're telling us that we can sell $42 million worth of bonds and receive $3 million over 10 years and have the net interest being less than $5 million?
Yes, because as you get, the whole point under the second scenario is that as you get those funds in, you will use that money to redeem bonds. And so if you get $3 million, let's say this year, you're going to immediately call out $3 million worth of bonds. You no longer pay interest on those bonds. Those bonds are gone. If you get $3 million the next year, same thing. Those bonds are gone. And so what you have effectively done is taken the life of the bonds, which originally it's a 20-year structure between the first and second series, which would fund the levy portion of the project. And you've taken that life from, let's say, about 12 years and bumped it down closer to an average life of about 7.
The two variable bonds are for 10 years, right?
Actually, one is a fixed rate issue,
right?
And
That's
one
20.
is, there's two
you're
fixed
right.
rate
Okay,
issues
you're right.
and a
Yep.
variable rate
Yep.
issue.
Yep.
The variable rate issue and the smaller of the fixed rate issues, the one that only goes out 10 years, those are looked at as kind of one piece. The reason that you do the fixed rate portion first, those first 10 years, is because that puts it on the shorter end of the yield curve, decreasing the cost related to that. Because variable rate bonds carry the same rate, whether they mature tomorrow or 20 years from now, because it's reset every 7 days and is considered to be a short-term obligation, that typically is slated to mature on the longer end, because that's how you achieve the lowest cost of borrowing under basically all the time, as you look at kind of what markets do over a broad range of years. Now, even though you have those variable rate bonds scheduled to mature in years 11 through 20, those will be the first ones that you begin to call because they're redeemable every 7 days, as Gene said. So as soon as you get a payment from the Corps, a portion of those bonds are taken out and you no longer pay debt service on those at all.
I understand that aspect of it then. So if this were to materialize under scenario 3, I mean, in real life, to happen this exact same way, what is the additional cost to the city out of our CIP dollar?
If it happens just like this, the city payment column, if you look at page 1 of 5, that is the amount that would be coming out of your CIP to fund both the levy and the bridge. So you're looking at, in the highest year, less than $2 million.
But cumulatively, it's $25 million.
Cumulatively, it's $25 million, yes.
So if it happens as laid out here,
yes,
the city will incur $25 million more in cost out of our second penny dollar, sales tax dollar, than we would if we did not bond?
No, you would still have to pay for the bridge. And so you would have those monies that would go out the door already. The difference between bonding for the bridge over a 20-year term and bonding for the levy portion of it, the core portion, is about $4.7 million. That's the difference between what you're paying in debt service on the bridge piece and what you would be paying in debt service overall if the Corps pays you $3 million annually until their obligation is gone.
Greg? I don't know if, excuse me, I don't know if the answer is quite as crystal clear, but I think the real question is, what's it going to cost us to do this bond? If you can separate out just the bridge and the levies, if you can separate them, I mean, I guess the true question is, what is the extra cost incurred for borrowing the money versus just paying for it? Is that kind of what you're asking?
You're paying for it out of funds and then having the Corps reimburse you over time. So if you funded basically the $38 million or so up front.
Right. We just paid for it, wrote a check, paid for it, versus borrowing the money to do it.
The difference would be about $12 million, but that does not take into account the present value of money.
Okay.
And so what you're not looking at is the difference between what money is worth today and what money will be worth in the future.
Yeah, I still think it's higher than that, but I guess even at $12 million, we look at the time frame of the schedule of this thing. Mark had indicated earlier today, it's an aggressive schedule at 3 years, optimistic even. And so what we're talking about is a 3 to 4 year schedule or a 10-year schedule. And to me, it boils down to, is it worth $12 million or $24 million, whatever it is, to speed it up 6 years?
Just a quick question on if we get the payments from the feds, the $3 million each year, that comes to the city, and a payment that just doesn't come into our general fund and get, the mayor can't just do anything he wants with that. That has to be used for paying back the bonds, right?
That money will be used for debt service and or redemption or buying back bonds. It'd be, and we'd have to decide at that time how much we do it.
Federal tax law requires...
Betsy, will you go to, thank you.
Federal tax law requires that the funds that come in from the Corps be used to pay off the bonds.
Okay.
If they can't be redeemed immediately because you don't have enough floating rate bonds that can be redeemed that day, they have to be deposited in a special redemption fund. It's a tax law issue. So, I mean, it's locked up. You can't use it for anything else.
Good.
Yeah. Can I ask Betsy another question? In looking at the ordinance that we are going to be voting on this evening, I've noticed, I think, 2 places where it says $38 million. What if we would reduce that $38 million by $12 million? In other words, eliminate the bridge and bring it down to $26 million. Will this have any other repercussions throughout the rest of the ordinance?
If you're going to do that, I would suggest you take that part of the project out of the project description. It's in the heading, and it's what else is there. So if you want to pare it down to not include a portion of it, since I don't have it in front of me, the heading.
Yes, the title. Yeah.
The title, you'd have to take out there, and there's another place in the description of the project as defined. You can take it out of there, too.
Okay.
Further questions?
Wait, Gene has it. Gene?
I guess one point to make, Councilman Staggers, if we take the $12 million out of there and do not do the bridge, you can't certify the levies and achieve what we're trying to achieve in the first place, which is to keep the flood insurance at the decent level.
Yeah, but what we would do is what we talked about at 4 o'clock. We would just use CIP money that we have for this year and delay some projects.
Further questions?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't remember our... Jessica? Sorry. Just to clarify something that we mentioned at our 4 o'clock meeting in regard to the bridge. Right now, we're projecting to borrow $12 million. And at the meeting, we speculated on an interest rate of 5%, and that would be over 20 years, $8 million in interest. Just clarifying that again.
Approximately, yes.
Okay, so a $12 million bridge would cost us $20 million if we bond for 20 years.
That's
approximately.
Approximately, assuming
Yes.
that you have no chances for refundings, and there's
Sure.
a lot of things that affect that.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Not others that wish to address the council. Go ahead, Scott.
First off, I just want to say quickly, anybody from the city who works for the city or any public officials who helped us with our petition, I'd like to thank you. You know who you are, and I don't need to say names, I guess, so thank you for helping. I would encourage you to vote no on this. As the joke would go, I don't see paying $20 million for a $12 million bridge is a very good idea, especially since the money had already been allocated for it. Anyway, I watched the informational meeting, and I took a lot of notes, and a lot of interesting comments came out of a lot of city officials. I guess we haven't had a flood since 1955, so I'm trying to figure out why this levee needs to be built next year. I think the last time we had a major water event in the city was because of a torrential rain, and it had nothing to do with the levees. Our sewer system backed up, in which we've been working and fixing on that, which is a good thing. But I don't think the levees failed at that point, and we had 2 torrential rains at 2 periods of time there. So I don't see flooding being a big deal. As for the insurance, anybody who buys private property takes a risk. We all have to buy insurance for our private property. That is not the city's responsibility. That is the private property owner. If you build a building or a business or something next to a river, that's the risk you take. We all pay our own insurance on our own properties. It's not the city's responsibility to help people with their insurance bill. I wish the city would pay my insurance bill. That'd be nice, but that's not how it works. I think we should negotiate with FEMA further to try to get this floodplain pushed off until we can get the money. I have followed the presidential election from the beginning for 18 months, and I can tell you this about Obama. He will give money to communities who need it. If we are going to pay for something up front that the federal government might pay for, I can guarantee you there'll be a good chance that we're not going to get that money. Why would the federal government give us money for something we've already paid for when there's other communities who are broke, such as Detroit, New Orleans, who need lots of money? Infrastructure money is meant to build 5 million jobs, is what is Obama's proposal. He wants to create 5 million jobs in this country. He's going to want to create those jobs in places where unemployment rates are very high. They're not high in Sioux Falls. And if we pay for this project up front, I don't see us getting paid back for it. We might get some money, but we're not going to get all of it. I think we should budget the money in the regular budget for the bridge, the $12 million, and we should wait for the feds to tell us how much money they're going to give us. Now, if they're not going to give us all of it to build the levees, well, then we can go back and we can rebond and you can re-vote on it and get the loan. Like I said, I'm going to look over my notes here for a second, but Mark Cotter said in the information meeting, the government is not obligated to reimburse us. So there's no promise. There's nothing on paper. There's nothing written agreement. He also said it's a big maybe. Nothing is concrete. We could pull this money from the CIP project to pay for the bridge. There has been no major studies done on whether we're going to flood anytime soon. And no one could even say when the last study was done. So what I'm seeing is a lot of talk about a lot of maybes here, but nothing concrete in any studies of any of this that we could put this project off until the feds say, well, we'll repay you for it. And like I said, my assumption is I hope the stimulus package passes. There's going to be a fight. There's going to be a big fight. Democrats only have 59 people, so the Republicans can filibuster anything. We have no guarantees we're going to get this money. But if we pay for this thing up front, I don't see us getting paid back for it. The other thing that just occurred to me while I was sitting here is one of the big arguments, like I said before, was the insurance. We're looking to save people money on insurance. Like I said, you own your own property. That's your responsibility. That's not the city's responsibility. But let's just say for a scenario, just for a second, that we're looking to save these private property owners money on their insurance. My question is, and I know we've been here before, so I don't want anybody to get offended. My question is there anyone sitting on this council that owns development in that floodplain that would save insurance money if these levees were built? That's my question. Because if you do, I would think that it would be a conflict of interest. That's just what I'm saying. I know we've been here before, but if there's anybody here that has any interest or investment in that area, and you vote yes to build those levees, it's going to save you a lot of insurance money. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'll trust you on your own accord. I also wanted to mention, too, that South Dakota's been pretty much in a drought for the past 4 to 5 years, so I don't think a flood is anything we need to worry about anytime soon. That's all I have, unless anybody has some comments.
Questions? Others that wish to address the council on item number 25?
Kyle Weiderman again. My question is just how many bonds are we going to have this year? We floated one bond right after another last year. Where is it going to stop? the city might be in a good, we're not in a complete recession now, but we're going downhill fast. I know realtors in town that can't sell homes, builders that can't sell homes in town because people can't get the financing. And here we want $38 million here, $40 million there, like it's nothing. It's a lot. It's going to affect everybody, all the homeowners it's going to affect. You have to think of that. You have to think of the other people, not yourselves. You're representing the people of the city of Sioux Falls. And when you vote another bond in, you're taking food off of kids' plates, people's plates.
We're paying on the second penny, and the second penny.
But you shouldn't even have.
How much do we pay down in bonds a year?
You should know that. I don't know
Well,
the figures.
I'm
What
asking
I'm
you.
saying
We pay,
is
what
you
is it,
just
Gene,
bonded
about
last
$7
year.
million? Gene, it's about $7 million that we're always paying bonds down. Some of those bonds that we have that on Lewis and Clark, the water fund pays that, so there's different scenarios of the bond indebtedness that's out there. So
We hear all the scenarios.
well,
Is this scenario
the option we have here, if we want to go down the road, we can take that floodplain, and when FEMA comes in and tells us what the floodplain is, and we can do that over 8-10 years, and we just keep paying. What are we paying, Mike or Mark? $1 million or $2 million a year we've been building on that floodplain. We can continue on with that process, and it's going to take a lot longer. And when you look at all the property that's going to be impacted by that, and you talk about property taxes, not just realtors, you can also take the scenario that that property could go down in value because it is in that floodplain. So then if they go down for reassessment, your property taxes are going to go down in that scenario too. So it's one thing, another. My concern in this whole issue is people that is going to be impacted by the new floodplain map that FEMA brings out are people that have worked hard and they are retired and they're sometime on fixed incomes. And I'm really starting to think that that's a big deal to them. So that's one of the reasons we're looking at it.
Excuse me, but it's all a big deal.
Well, yeah, I agree with it, but I really do. I mean, I think these people, one of the scenarios I had is to try to get it as quickly as I could so that those people that are in those areas that are really in a fixed income basis in retirement or something, that they wouldn't have to keep paying it because it is expensive insurance.
But why can't this be held off for 2 or 3 years till we get through this economical slump that
You
we're
mean
in?
FEMA?
The bonding for everything, every time we turn around, we're putting another bond
So
in.
then you're saying let's not do the levies? Was that
Or the bridge.
or the bridge? Just not do them.
Yeah.
That's an option. I mean, that is an option.
Take the bridge out.
Pardon?
Take the bridge out of this. And then what do you bring it back down to, 26?
About that, yeah.
26 million?
And then you're saying then defer some of the street projects that have been waiting to get to
No, I
fixed.
said take the bridge out. I didn't say anything about
Well, how are you going to pay for the bridge if we don't bond it? We're going to have to take some of the road projects that we had out.
Why do we need that bridge right now? Why can't that bridge wait for a couple of years?
Well, because the total package with FEMA, to get the levies, you can't just do the levies and say we're going to get certified without doing the bridge at the same time. So we're trying to do this in an expeditious way so that we get those people, we get the flood, we get certified, so that all the people then are taken out of the floodplain so that they don't have to pay the flood insurance. And the bridge is one component of the levy system. So it's two components. It's the levies and the bridge, and that's what we're
Why don't we
looking
get
at.
another $5 million from the Citibank and go buy all that property like you did over here on this other property? Then you won't have to worry about that.
Others that wish to address the council on item number 25. Okay. It's before the council now.
I move for approval of item number 25, Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments on item number 25?
Mr. Mayor, I have an amendment.
Okay.
My amendment is to delete $38 million where it is mentioned in the ordinance and substitute that for $26 million. In other words, getting rid of the bridge for bonding. And then to also delete from the title of the ordinance where it talks about the bridge And any other references to the bridge project in the ordinance?
Any other references?
References to the bridge project in the ordinance.
Okay, so your motion is to take and delete the 38 to 26, and then take any reference to the 41st Street Bridge?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Is there a second to that motion? That motion dies for a lack of a second, so we're back to the main motion that has been made.
Well, just a quick comment. I don't want to repeat everything I said at the 4 o'clock meeting, but I would just like to say that I believe that the City Council, as elected officials, that we have an obligation to solve problems, and this whole floodplain situation has been a very difficult one for us for the entire 6.5 years and 1 week or whatever I've served on the City Council. I'm very sorry that it's taken us this long to adequately address this topic, even though I know there have been great efforts going on for the entire 6.5 years with our very capable administrative team and our congressional delegation, and and for those people who think that FEMA wants to negotiate with us, I mean, best wishes. Hardly is that the case. So anyway, I'm just very proud that we are finally going to take some decisive, just make some decisive decisions, important decisions tonight on this issue, and move on to other huge challenges we have in our great city.
Further comments? Pat.
I think this project is immensely important for the city of Sioux Falls, and to me, as I said, I think it really boils down to a timing issue on whether or not the project is going to get completed in 3 or 4 years or 10 years. And whether the additional cost is $12 million, I think it's going to be more than that. I'm not sure it's worth the risk. If we ended up under an economic stimulus package getting significant funding, I mean, that would be the best of all scenarios, and I think we can all hope and pray for that. But if it's not, it's $12 million more for the city to pay. And, we've heard, well, the Corps loves the project. Well, of course it does, because you're putting the inflationary risk of the project on the city. The city has to bear the interest for this. They're only going to pay us back for principal, not interest. And I just think, our city needs to determine on what we're going to pay for. We got talked into the county for paying 3/4 of Metro 911. And now the federal government's got us talked into paying the interest cost on this project. And a while ago, we had to raise sales tax because we couldn't pay for our roads. And it just seems like our priorities are mixed. I mean, who does not feel for those homeowners that are going to incur additional expense because they're in the floodplain? But I go back to what I said in the city at the informational meeting. The city did not put anybody in the floodplain. Mother Nature put them in the floodplain. And it's the federal government's responsibility to fix it. And we should be working our delegation to get the money to Sioux Falls. And again, hopefully, under the economic stimulus package that's being talked, that will happen. But it's just simply too much money for the city to spend to speed it up for 6, maybe 7 years.
Dee alluded to knowing someone from Cedar Rapids. I know the same person, I believe. Her business in downtown Cedar Rapids was affected. Their downtown will not be the same for 10 years. Grand Forks, another community not all that unlike ours, also face flooding issues, and their community isn't back. The thing about this flood zone is it not only affects citizens, many on fixed income and some of the most affordable housing in Sioux Falls, but it also affects our entire retail area in Sioux Falls. If we think this financing is hard, imagine when that flood does hit, then we're going to have some serious issues as a city trying to figure out how we're going to revive this city without any revenue happening in the retail sector. I don't want to be a city councilor sitting here 5 years off the council and 5 years down the road and saying, oh, yeah, we should have taken care of this. Mike Cooper told us a story about in the 50s. They didn't think they could afford it, and they were hit. And we have had threats of flooding in more recent time. I remember as a reporter not all that many years ago when we were building up levees and on the spillway, adding plywood high, 10, 12 feet high, because there was an imminent threat in the spring because of snow up north. We had a near miss, a near disaster in this city. So to say that it's not going to happen is, I think, naive.
Councilor Costello, I'd just like to say I have great respect for your opinions on every topic, like I do the other councilors. But, I guess I just don't think there's any guarantee as far as the magical timing to solve any problems for this city. I mean, I think about the time that that I've been on the city council, and you've been on the council much of that time with me, unfortunately. But I mean, it's not like the city created the Lewis and Clark water problem as far as needing that money. I mean, the city didn't create the it's not like the city created the problem that we needed to spend the money on the east side sewer. I mean, that all that storm drainage. I mean, it took us so long to really, to solve that problem, and yet, gee, I never ever hear people. I mean, they never email me or call me anymore and talk about their backup sewers and so forth. And so, I mean, again, it's a I realize as elected officials it's very difficult because we have all we all have different wish lists and different goals, and yet I think this is an incredibly conscientious city council, incredibly so, and very compassionate also. But I just think, it's not like and this, but like I said, it's not like this issue is like come up suddenly and we're like quickly trying to pass bond issues. My goodness, we've been dealing with this since my very first week on the city council. It's taken us 6.5 years to get to this point, and it's like sometimes it's not surprising to me that we don't get more done because it takes us so long to handle major problems, and cities and we have an obligation. We have an obligation to take care of this and get this behind us.
I appreciate both your comments, but you have to sit back and assess where we're at. We have flood protection. Unfortunately, we don't know what level of flood protection we have. We apparently can't tell if we're at a 50-year flood or 70-year, or we might even be at a 90-year flood. We don't know. But we know we haven't had any issues for a long, long time. Maybe it's the 50s, and in the event that Vernon's talking about, I think we raised the spillways. It's not that we're not going to do the project. I believe that the Corps will ultimately fund the project over time. And it may take 10 years at $3 million a year, which I believe is our best estimate. But we're talking about speeding it up 6 to 7 years. It's a timing issue. It's not about whether or not we're going to do the project. It has to get done. We know that. But we can either let the federal government take care of their responsibility, and it may take a little bit longer. And yeah, you're right, we will be at risk. But you have to measure that risk with the cost. And we know we have flood protection, and we know we haven't had the type of event of magnitude of flooding, and it may not even happen in the 50s. We really don't know because we didn't have anything at that time. So it all boils down to a timing thing for me. The project has merit. It's going to get done. It's whether it gets done in 3 or 4 years or 10 years.
I don't think any of us ever dreamt in 04, 05 that we'd have the central flooding that we had. I really, and I know that they had plans to build out over a number of years, and if we had the foresight to go back to that period of time, we would have jumped on the fact that we could have gotten that done before the water of that magnitude came. So you really don't know. And I remember, was it 96 or something when we had that heavy rain down here, and I know people were scurrying around trying to buy some flood insurance, and it was at a premium at that time because it was so close, and other people were building dikes around their property because people were making contingency plans. So, fortunately, the good news is it didn't, but, if it does, and then you got a whole other set of worries.
Yes, I agree that we do have to be concerned about the flooding issue, but right now, the real issue is FEMA and their maps. Since the late 1990s, they've realized that a lot of this property we're talking about was in this so-called floodplain. And it's only been recently that they decided to notify us. And, of course, this is based on various studies and so forth. And so that's the real problem is FEMA. It's the federal government that's created this problem for these homeowners and also these businesses, because many of these people bought their property in good faith that this was not in the floodplain. Then all of a sudden we have the federal government changing it. And so we have this dilemma of the federal government creating this problem for our property owners. So what are we supposed to do? It's a problem created by the federal government. This is a difficult vote for me, but I guess maybe in this particular situation we're going to have the city government help correct a problem that the federal government has created, and it's very unfortunate they've done that. But having said that, we could have reduced some of these obligations of ours the city is going to have by simply getting rid of that bridge and having us paying it out of our CIP, but we couldn't even get a second for that amendment. So reluctantly, we're going to be going for $38 million plus all the interest tonight. We could have been gone at least for, $26 million in interest, a lot better, but we didn't get a second on that amendment, but hopefully this is going to solve the problem for these people who have been artificially placed in this floodplain.
And I agree with you, Councilor, on what on what you're saying, because FEMA did come, and I think what sped it up and generated the interest was Katrina. When that came, then they went to Congress. They wanted the updated flood maps, and so that started that ball rolling. And we've met with FEMA and tried to discuss with FEMA where we're at. And I mean, it's ironclad. They're going to. Katrina really set in motion FEMA to do it. We've met with the Corps, and so we're building a relationship. But yeah, they did, and to get this finished, to me, again, I just come back to the same thing. I really do have a lot of sympathy for people that are on fixed incomes to try to get this out of the way as quickly as we can, and that's one of the reasons. We have spent, and Dee talked about that, we have spent a lot of time trying to structure the bonds in the most efficient way we can for the citizens of Sioux Falls and for the council as well. And so there's been a lot of effort put into it, a lot of talk back and forth, and at the end of the day, it was determined that this is the best to go so that we can, without tax consequence or anything, that we can pay some of this off and move forward with what we want to do. So your premise is absolutely right in what you're doing. I mean, they do throw it down, and on that, Greg.
I agree that I think it's a lousy deal that the feds put this deal on us, this new map, and didn't give us time to respond. And I sure hope that it comes through that they give us a little more time and those people don't get put into a new floodplain. But the best thing about this opportunity tonight to vote on this is that we are given the chance to prevent what could be just a huge, major problem for Sioux Falls. We are given this chance to prevent it. I mean, thank God we're not sitting here wondering what we're going to do to handle this flood that just occurred. And so I see the cost of, if it's $12 million, if it's $15 million for this funding, I think that's a small price to pay for what could happen. I'm not a big guy on insurance, and I think Pat might have trouble buying insurance from anybody anyway, but I think this is just a great opportunity for us to prevent a catastrophic flood for Sioux Falls, and we should, as our job, take care of the citizens of Sioux Falls and prevent that from happening. So I would urge you, other council members, to vote for this project and approve it.
Further comments? We got a motion been made and seconded. Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Joe. Joe, go ahead, and I'll get Bob next.
This has been a struggle, and I agree with all the other comments. I know some of those people that the mayor's talked about that are on fixed incomes, but I also have to look at the fact that Pat's right, we're going to spend $12 million over 10 years. But if, in fact, we didn't do this, Pat, we're going to spend, the city taxpayers are going to spend $5.8 million a year in insurance premiums over 10 years. They're going to spend $58 million. So we're going to invest $12 million more than a $58 million premium from the taxpayers, if that makes sense. The other thing is we're protecting $580 million worth of property if, in fact, and they won't come to Scott if there's a problem, they'll come to us. If, in fact, we have this issue, the economic basis of this community for 10 years is going to be just the pits. So we have literally no choice into doing something. I'm not excited about the bridge being included when it wasn't part of the CIP, but I also think to get this thing certified and to move forward, we need to take that leap of faith that, in fact, this $12 million is going to save the taxpayers of Sioux Falls $58 million in insurance premiums over 10 years.
I too struggled a lot with this here and just kind of watched the thing nurse along. But I remember in 1969, I was a 16-year-old kid that stood down by the spillway, and we thought we had good flood control. But I was filling sandbags and just feeling that water come down over the spillway and shaking the earth. And we almost lost John Morell's in 1969. And believe me, in 1969, John Morell's was a big engine in this town. They still are. But in proportion, they've probably not quite as big as they once were. You know, Scott, I thought a lot about what you said about the weather and stuff up here, and you know, my thoughts are is, you know, the longer something goes along without happening, the greater the chances are. I mean, you know, that's a basic precept of gambling in Las Vegas, which I don't like to do either. You know, I also look around the world and I see a lot of strange weather events happening. And I don't know if it's global warming, I don't know what the heck it is, but it just seems like the frequency of odd weather things and extreme floods and tsunamis and what have you has increased lately. And, you know, I'm real nervous about not doing this. And I realize there's a lot of cost, but, you know, if something does, and maybe you're right, Scott, maybe we'll go by and nothing will happen and you can have a good laugh. And to me, it'll be worth that $12 million that Costello's talking about if you can do that. But on the other hand, if something does go wrong and we lose our retail sector this time, which has the same economic impact as Morell's did in 1969, I don't want to be the guy sitting up here. And sometimes I wish it was you up here sitting here, Scott, so you could really sit in the hot seat. But anyway, I'm going to be voting for this tonight, and it's one of those things. I got mixed emotions about it, and it's a hard vote for me to do, so it's probably the right thing.
Further comments? Got a motion been made and seconded to approve item number 25. Seeing no further comments, all in favor of approving item 25 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmember Costello.
No.
Jamison.
Yes.
Knudsen.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 25 has been approved, 7 yes and 1 no. Item number 26.
Deferred action, a resolution approving the special assessment roll for construction of grading, gravel, curb and gutter, sidewalk, asphalt surfacing with driveway approaches, sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer services, and water services on West 69th Street from South Louise Avenue to 2,300 feet east.
Good evening, Chad Heavey with the Engineering Division of Public Works. The resolution of necessity to construct this portion of 69th Street was approved by the City Council in March of 2007. That same year, the street was expanded for approximately $1.77 million. Tonight's resolution will assess approximately $250,000 of those dollars to 6 property owners in accordance with city ordinance. During the December 8th council meeting, one of the property owners voiced several questions regarding the project. I sent 2 emails to the council in an attempt to answer those questions, and tonight I can answer any of those questions or anything else on the project.
Let me mention that Councilmember Jamison will be excused from item number 26. So questions of Chad? Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I remember when Bruce was here. You said there was a reason that Bruce was not here tonight.
He called me, or I called him this morning to remind him of the meeting tonight and what item it was. He said that there was a possibility he may not be able to attend, and I conveyed to him that if that did come up, that he should contact the city clerk to request if the council wanted to do something differently than act on it tonight.
I guess my only question would be is, he obtained it in 2004, developed it in 2006, and he says here in this statement he should have paid the delayed cost recovery of $83,4505. However, the city did not invoice him for his cost recovery. Now, is there any interest and penalties in that number?
Well, first of all, that cost recovery is, you're not taking action on that tonight. That was taken, a different council took action on that, I believe, in '97.
It's untouchable then?
I won't say it's untouchable, but that cost recovery was recorded per the ordinance in Lincoln County. And I'm assuming when Mr. Bettmeg bought the property, the title work would have revealed this delayed cost recovery. And the cost recovery is delayed without interest. And so I did contact Mr. Bettmeg right after I found out about it, told him that we would be invoicing him at some time, but I did let him know that we could work with him on invoicing it in partial payments or when would be an optimal time. So we've done that in similar situations where we've spread that out over a 5-year period, per se.
Thank you, Chad.
Further questions of Chad on item number 26? Others who wish to address the council on item number 26? Is there a motion to approve?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz second. Further comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Oh, excuse me.
Mike, weren't we talking about deferring this one more time so he could be here?
When he said to me today that there was a possibility he couldn't be here, then he didn't know at the time whether he could be or not. So I said to him if that did come up, I asked him to contact the city clerk's office so that he could make that request to have the item deferred or whatever he would want to do.
I guess it was Mark that had that. We had that conversation. Did you? And we haven't talked to him since then, or?
He told me he would contact the city clerk's office if the situation changed.
I haven't had any contact today from this gentleman at all.
Okay.
So we got a motion been made and seconded to approve item 26. Further discussion? Not all in favor of the motion to approve item 26, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Costello?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 26 been approved. Item 27.
A resolution establishing a salary program that maintains a market competitive salary range with a pay-for-performance program for the appointed position of city clerk commencing on January 12, 2009.
Members of the council and mayor, this is an annual resolution. Both items 27 and item 28 are the cost of living adjustments that happen for the council's appointed employees. Most of the administration, well, actually all of the administration has their COLA or their cost of living adjustments done by executive order. Council uses the resolution for their appointed employees.
Others wish to address the council. Is there a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve. May I make a motion for 27 and 28?
We got to read the ones.
All right, just 27, I'm sorry.
Is there a second?
Benega.
Benega seconds. Further comments? All in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Item 27 has been approved 8-0. Item 28.
A resolution establishing a salary program that maintains a market competitive salary range with a pay-for-performance program for the appointed positions of lead internal auditor and an internal auditor commencing on January 12, 2009.
Motion to approve?
So moved. Benega.
Benega moves. Is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconds. Further comments? Seeing none. All in favor? Yes. Opposed? No.
Council members Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 28 has been approved 8-0. Item 29.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, correcting the legal descriptions of annexation resolution number 157-08.
This property was annexed by the city council with the legal description that indicated that it would be known and platted as Tract 1 of Ackerson's Addition. And this is in the southeast corner of 85th and Minnesota Avenue. The property owner is now platting it as Minnesota Crossing addition, and so we're just modifying the legal description to provide for that change.
Questions of Mike on item 29? Others that wish to address the council on item number 29? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Benninga.
Benninga moves. Is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconds. Further comments? Not all in favor of approving item 29, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
All members present have voted. Item 29 has been approved 8-0. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move, Anderson.
Anderson moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Brown seconds. All in favor of the motion to adjourn will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Council members Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
We stand adjourned.